Hello, this is Noreen from Joya Cards, and today we're going to be making a different kind of video. I'm going to show you a technique, and this one is partial embossing and masking technique. And we're going to go ahead and make a Mother's Day card on top of it. So if you notice, this card is interesting. This piece right here is one piece of paper, and what I did is I partially embossed this part and I masked this one off. And if you get a look at it, you can see there's no embossing here in the middle. Now, if I wouldn't have masked it off, what it would look like is this. And you can see the difference. You see, this has got the embossing in it, and this is just totally flat. So this is what we're after. So we're going to start with a regular 5.5 by 4.25 basic black, folded and scored and all that. And then we're going to be making a mask first for the embossing folder. And the embossing folder we're using today is Swirls and Curls Textured Impressions Embossing Folder, which is not a 3D embossing folder. It's just a regular embossing folder. So what we need to do is we need to figure out what image you want to do in the middle. Now you could do, you know, a square or a rectangle. I happen to use a circle, and I'm using the layering circles, and I'm using the two biggest plain ones here that nest inside of each other. So that is the circle we're going to be using. So in order to do this, you have to do a technique of getting a template and cutting the biggest circle inside where you're going to have it on your card out of cardboard. And in my case, it's 2 pieces of cardboard, because every embossing machine, whether you've got a Big Shot or whatever machine you have out there, is going to have a different kind of tension. Like the Big Shot Plus has more tension than the regular size Big Shot machine. So depending, and you need to take like some scratch piece of paper and test it first. So for my machine, I used 2 pieces of, this is just regular cardboard. I cut 2 circles in them and I taped it together. Then what you want to do is you want to build your sandwich. So I'm going to take this embossing folder and I'm going to grab a piece of shimmer white. Shimmer white works best when you're doing any kind of sponging or using any kind of ink. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to line it up with the top line in my embossing folder here. Then I'm going to take my plate, my base plate, and we're going to be using the bottom one. So this one right here. So flip that. And then you're going to be putting that down with the fold end going in. And then I did something different here. Actually, let's do this first. We need to take our template and we're going to line it up. And then we're going to take some tape and we're going to tape it down. Okay. And then put fold side in first. And this is the part that's different. I'm going to be using my 3D embossing folder plate. This is why I said over and over, this is not a 3D folder, but in my particular machine, this worked. So I ran it through like this. You notice there's no plate under here. It's just the folder with the paper in it and the 3D embossing folder plate on top. Now, like I said, just kind of test it on some scratch paper before you do it, because your machine might just be newer or older or different or whatever, but that's what worked on my machine. And what happened is, what came out was this. And if you notice, the middle is smooth and the rest is textured. So boom, we just learned how to do that. So we're going to grab some scratch paper here. Notice I've done this before. And we're also going to grab another piece of paper that is cut 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. And this could also be a piece of scratch paper. And you're going to cut that same large circle inside. Okay. And you're going to get this. You see, I've done this card a couple of times. So you're going to take this, and I've got that really crummy tape from the big box store, the green one that doesn't stick to anything, and the glue just kind of rolls off. This is great for masking. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this template here and you're going to mask it down with this stuff. And this doesn't stick, so that's why it's crummy. So you're going to take it and put it on top of your sheet like so. Great. And then also you're going to take another piece of scratch paper, and you're going to take the die from Beautiful Moments, the lady right here, and you're going to stamp her on the scratch paper, and you're going to fussy cut her out. So fussy cut her and the little branch she's holding here. So you're going to make a mask of her, and you can tell I've done this card a couple of times. Take our STAMPIN. Now I'm using STAMPIN because I'm actually going to be using colored pencils and a blending pen, and I'm going to blend it in. So you don't want the ink to run. So use your STAMPIN, and you're going to stamp her first. Oops, so you got to take off the plastic and ink her up and get her where you want her to be. And I'm going to just put her off center a little bit, making sure she's not too high. Press down pretty good, and there you go. Okay, now you're going to take that mask that you made of the girl and take that crummy teal colored tape from the big box store, and you're going to mask over her. All right, now we're going to make the sky, and we're going to take our Pineapple Punch and Daffodil Delight and open these up, and we're going to get a couple of sponges. Now we also, Stampin' Up! Has the sponge that's a circle. I just cut them up in little triangles here, and we're going to take the lightest color first, and we're going to start doing the sky. Now this color is pretty light, so I don't have to really take off a lot of ink before I put it on here. Usually you'll, ink it up, dab it off, and then put it on the paper, but this is so light, I don't think there's a reason to do it. And before I get too far with the sky here, before I do that, I also do want to take the other like leaf or weed or whatever right next to her, and also use the STAMPIN here and fill out the picture a little bit more. There, I just want to give it a little bit more. Okay, and back to this. So let's take it down to about where the weeds are right there. Okay. All right, the next color, make sure that you close up your boxes. You don't want to put your project inside there. And then I'm going to take the next color, which is the Daffodil Delight, which is just a little darker, and I'm going to go around the edges for sure and just give it a little bit more of a color. Okay, that should be about enough, and close this one up. The next two colors we're going to use is Old Olive and Garden Green. And Old Olive is the lighter color. You always start with the lighter one first. And ink that up really good. And turn it over and just start inking over the grass or weeds or whatever these are. And I'm not worried about a line. At first I thought, well, I can mask this, but then it gave such a harsh line. I kind of didn't like it that way, so I went ahead and just did it freestyle. And then now I'm going to take the Garden Green and do around the edges here. All right, I'm going to flip this over again, give it a little bit more Old Olive right there. All right. All right, and then the last color I want to use is Melon Mambo, and I'm going to give the sky a little bit of an extra, kind of like it's sunset or something there, just a little bit. You might want to dab off on this one. This is a kind of a dark color, just a little bit of that haze of sunset. Okay. All right, that's good enough. Close up your box. It's an old box. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and take the mask off. And you know, this might be a good point to go to the bathroom and wash your hands. So I'm going to go and do that. I'll be right back. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and color in the girl's dress. I'm going to use my watercolor pencils. And the first one I'm going to start with is Flirty Flamingo. And I'm going to color in her dress. Now with using colored pencils, you color it in and you don't have to worry about too much of the white spots, because we're going to take our blending pen and it's going to do its magic and smooth things out. So I'm going to go ahead and color this in with the Flirty Flamingo, and I'll be right back. I'm going to take Gorgeous Grape and I'm going to color in her little sash. All right, and then the next color I'm going to take is Early Espresso, and I'm going to line her hair. So all the lines in her hair I'm going to outline here. The next color I'm taking is Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to give her actually kind of a dirty blonde hair. Okay, now I'm going to take Garden Green and I'm going to fill in all the little leaves and just press down really hard and make this really, really green. Now, if you notice, when I had the mask on her, there's going to be a little bit of a white line around her. So whatever color you've got going on here, I've got the two greens going on, just kind of fill in, because we'll go ahead and blend that out. So around the leaves as well here, I'll take the daffodil again. I'm probably and also in between her arms, between the dress and her arms, you need to make that yellow spot for the sky. You can take a little bit of the daffodil, fill it in there and around here, and we'll blend that out. Okay, so now to the blending pen. When you use a blending pen, make sure that the last color you use isn't still on there. So just run it across a piece of white scratch paper here. This one I've used quite a bit. So I'm going to start with the dress because it still had a little pink on it. So you're going to notice as I do this over the pink, it's going to blend it all in and look really nice. I'll do that and I'll be right back. So I blended in the dress and the purple sash. Now I'm going to do the hair. And I actually do want to grab some of the Early Espresso and the daffodil together because that makes more of a realistic color. Okay, and then of course I'm going to wipe it off on my scratch paper here again. Make sure all that color is off. I'll even flip this over. All right, and then I'm going to do the green on the weeds here. And it just really perks up that color. I'm going to finish the rest and I'll be right back. After you do your weeds, why don't you go around and grab any part of the green that you filled in with the colored pencil around where the mask was. I'm going to clean this off because I'm going to switch to the sky and around her here. Try not to pull any of like the green into the yellow and vice versa. Also in between her arms here. The light's peeking through around her face. Anywhere that, you know, might have a white spot. Okay, great. So let's put our cap on our blending pen and let's pull off the mask. There you go. Boom, that looks great. Okay, so here's our thing again. So I did decide to go ahead and color my Whisper White. And the first thing I thought is, well, I'm going to use some petal pink because, you know, that makes sense because it's pink, right? So I started using the petal pink like I'm going to do right now. And guess what? It looks orange. And it's like, what the heck? This looks orange. I don't know why petal pink looks orange, but it does. And since I did this with the original card here, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Because how I fixed it is, because I thought, oh, I'm going to just do it over again because this looks pretty terrible, this color. But what I did is I put Melon Mambo on top. So I thought, well, I could put Melon Mambo on top, but it might not look the same. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I did the first time, and that is use this petal pink that looks orange. So, and then the trick part really is getting around that circle. So there's my petal pink that looks orange, right? So I'm going to go ahead and grab another dauber and grab the Melon Mambo because, yeah, it just looks so much better in that darker color. So grab the dauber. I'm using my old Melon Mambo, but and then go really kind of hard over the top. I really want to put a lot of ink down, so I'm going to go ahead and ink this up, and I will be right back. So here's my finished piece. Also, you need to cut a circle from your largest of the two, and also make another mask. So while you're inking, you're going to have this over just in case, you know, you do a whoopsie across, and it'll keep your circle nice and clean. And you can get right up to the edge of where you're at. So even though we're going to put a base around it, it's going to look better if you just mask that off. So there's another mask. All right, so we're done inking that. Now I'm going to take those two circles again here, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to line them up, and I'm going to tape them together, and I'm going to die cut this. And what you're going to get is you're going to get obviously this middle piece, which we're not going to use, but you're going to get the ring. So we're going to take this ring and take our silicone craft sheet and nail that up. Now there is a front side and a back side, so you got to make sure you got the right side on there. This happens to be the back. Nail it up and place it right over the top. Just like that. Now, what I decided to do is I decided to use this really nice satin ribbon. And the satin ribbon is this one here. It's just a basic black one. It's 146280. And I'm going to go ahead and affix it onto the back of the card. So go ahead and put it on the back of the card. You can also put it on the middle of the ribbon. Flip it over and put it right where you want it. Right there. Flip it over. It's going to hit the tape on the back. Oops, I missed. Just like that. All right, now we're going to do the sentiment. With the sentiment, I use the frames from Oriental Frames, Ornate Frames, and it's these two pieces here together, and we're going to cut one out in basic black and the other in Melon Mambo because we've been using those colors anyway. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. Here we are. The big one is in black, and the smaller one is in Melon Mambo. And we're going to use Stays On because we used it for here anyway, so might as well use Stays On again. And I am stamping Happy Mother's Day from Tea Together. So we're also going to be doing the sentiment inside the card from Tea Together as well because it has a couple Mother's Days on there. So let's Stays On this up. And hopefully I won't stick my head in the camera, but I probably will. And this is one of the orange stamps, so you don't need the pad if you don't want to use it. And there's Happy Mother's Day. So I'm going to put that over there. And then we're going to take some dimensionals and put them on the back. Go ahead and snail that up. And put it right on top of the ribbon in the middle. And then we're going to take our base and we're going to put it on our base. And that's the front of the card. So that was great. Now all we have to do is the inside. I always like to do pretty little inside. So I take the Melon Mambo again, and I'm going to cut it in a 5 1/4 by 4. And then I also took one of the dies from Nature's Thought. This one right here, I know you can't see it in the video so much, but there's little tiny little etches right here. It's really cute in person. So I went ahead and I die cutted this out in shimmer white. And I also took the Inside Sentiment from Tea Together. That's the one I told you about before. And might as well just continue using the STAMPIN and try to center this as much as you can. I always seem to get them crooked, but that's, you know, homemade. All right. Great. And then I also, from the same die set, is that there's this little butterfly, and I went ahead and die cutted that out and put it inside. And I'm going to take this and fix it inside my card. And that's the inside. Now I did, this one I colored in that colored pencil, the Gorgeous Grape, and I blended it, but I kind of like it plain, so I'm going to leave it plain. And you know, there is one more thing that we forgot to do. I forgot to put in the butterflies. So here are the butterflies from Beautiful Moments. It's this one and this one, and I stuck them on this block here and how I wanted them to look on the card. And go ahead and grab that Stays On again and put it right where you want it. And every card's a little different, so I have to kind of make this one fit the way this card is done. And then I did take that Gorgeous Grape and I filled her in. Oop, almost forgot the butterflies. So it makes the card really cute. And of course, since this is one of those watercolor pencils, after I go ahead and try to fill it in kind of dark, take that blending pen again, make sure there's nothing on it, and just kind of make it pop out a little bit. There. And that's the card. So you learned how to do a partial embossing and you learned how to mask, and that's it. So if you like my card, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also go on joyofcards.com. And if you join both and you're a first-time subscriber to both my YouTube and my website, you could win the demo card. So that's great. And here's some other videos that are popping up. So click on those and you might learn something else. So see you later. Bye.